for all the, I think, rightful criticism of Nathaniel Hackett, here Nathaniel Hackett is with what outwardly looks like a complete mess in terms of decision making. You got the fans counting the play clock out loud at home. You're like, yikes. Despite all of that, the Denver Broncos are tied for first place with the Kansas City Chiefs, who dump one to the Indianapolis Colts. Here's Russell Wilson. Of course, all the positives in the game.
We're still all learning each other. There's a whole new system and everything else. Everybody's coming together, but there's so much greatness in store, and I can't wait for it. And everybody just believe in each other. That's what football is all about, and it's about getting another win in that win column, and we were able to do that.
All right, look, in fairness to Russell Wilson, his last drive felt like a Russell Wilson drive. The game, in many ways, felt like a Russell Wilson Seattle Seahawks game, right? Where you're like, are they playing good? I don't know, but they ended up having the ball in his hands, a chance to win the game at the end of the game before Jimmy Garoppolo twice over, once threw a pick and then couldn't matriculate the ball down the field. But that looked like a Russell Wilson game. It's just still kind of messy, kind of ugly, kind of That game was not a great game. But there was also the Dan Orlovsky part due play from Jimmy Garoppolo. There was the final interception from Jimmy Garoppolo where he didn't even see a safety who was just sitting there in the box and threw it right to him. And it brings back what I had said last week, which is this. Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Trey Lance. Jimmy Garoppolo this year gives the Niners a better chance to compete for the Super Bowl. I'm not blind to that, and any fan who argues otherwise, ask a Niner fan and they'll go, you're wrong there. I don't know what happens with Trey Lance. I speculated last week that the days, I'm just not speculation. I guess it is, but I'm guessing the days of him just being handed the job like he was this year, those are over. Doesn't mean he won't ever play for the Niners again, but man, he's barely played football one season in the last 5 years. But Garoppolo's future hangs in the balance in regards to how he plays will determine what level of contract or what job he has next, or if he keeps this job. We would all kind of agree that the Niners were a mess offensively. We okay with that? We would all kind of agree that stepping out of bounds, which in my lifetime for a quarterback has only happened once before, and Dan's a champ. He took it like a champ. We've all in-game made boneheaded plays. Heck, made boneheaded plays in work. I've done it here. It happens. But we've only seen that once before, right? That was Orlovsky. So Garoppolo pulls an Orlovsky and throws a wildly untimely pick and can't move the football. And the Broncos defense is good, but it's not what it was last year. And it brings me back to my point of last week. If we would all agree that John Lynch is pretty good at building a football team and Kyle Shanahan is really good with quarterbacks, why then would they trade up a bunch of pieces to eventually replace Jimmy Garoppolo for reasons other than salary cap? Why would you do it? If you have a guy who's a dude, you'd never get rid of him. But if you show yourself in this, and you can say, well, he's been hurt a lot. Okay. But the wins and losses are greatly in your favor when Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy. But why then? Why would you move mountains to draft Trey Lance? Why would you part company with Jimmy Garoppolo only to welcome him back in on a backup type of deal? But why would you do that if you thought he was great? You don't. And why they wanted to move on, you saw last night. Garoppolo looks great in a suit. Way better hair than me. Skin tone is amazing. Guy's just he's like a model playing quarterback. He'll be on TV someday, right? Next to all these other models that play quarterback. They're just better looking dudes. Smart, well-spoken, athletic. He just kind of looks like a dude out there, right? Then the ball is snapped and you're like, Jimmy Garoppolo will make one or two boneheaded plays a game And then there are times in which when that thing gets tight, isn't that what happened last night? Last night is the perfect thing for John Lynch to go into his office today and go, I was right. Jimmy's good to a point. Right? Good to a point. It's pick your chain restaurant and you go like, man, pick the best thing at that chain restaurant. Like, man, this is really, really good. Okay, now go to like a 5-star restaurant. Compare that to anything on the menu. Like, it just comes up short. It doesn't mean it's not tasty. Doesn't mean it's not good. It just doesn't match up with one of these restaurants with Michelin stars that are just ridiculous. So I'm not telling you the season is lost for the Niners. No, the NFC West is just as much of a mess as any other division. Maybe not as much as the AFC West. But what I am telling you is last night's the perfect example of why Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't good enough for John Lynch and the Niners. Why they tried to find a way to move on. It's like they say, we talked a lot about infidelity last week with Ime Udoka, that when there's cheating within a relationship, it's not, the cheating is a symptom, it's not the cause. Right? When you're going out, you're looking for another quarterback and finding another quarterback, that's not the symptom. The cause is that Jimmy Garoppolo is just not good enough. He's good. He's not good enough. He's not good enough and efficient enough that they believe to truly compete and win a Super Bowl. And they had it there. All he had to do was make a couple throws. They had Kansas City on the ropes, and he couldn't do it. And they flew back, and they watched that film, and they probably had to think, like, I really like him. He's a good enough leader, but there's just leaves something to be desired. And last night was the example. He made a couple good throws, made a couple good escapes. The defense played their tails off. The Broncos were a mess. You can't give away 2 points. You're a quarterback that threw in the Super Bowl and you step out of bounds? That's giving away 2 points. And then when you need points late, you stare down your best wide receiver and don't even see the safety that's sitting in there. I mean, heck, you can see on the sky cam. He just sitting there. He didn't look. That's Jimmy. He's not terrible. He's not definably bad, but he's good to a point. And reaching out for another quarterback and getting another quarterback, that's a symptom. The cause is what you saw last night.